The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador SciFi of the Vorthok Empire stepped forward, his 6 arms trembling visibly. The crystalline being's usual composure had cracked, revealing something that made even the most seasoned diplomats lean forward in their hover seats. "Honored delegates," SciFi began, his voice carrying across the vast amphitheater through neural translators. "I come before you today not as a representative of my empire, but as a survivor, a witness to something that defies our understanding of warfare, of logic, of nature itself." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Vorthok were known throughout the galaxy for their military prowess, their calculated brutality, their empire that had conquered 17 star systems. What could possibly shake such a being? 3 cycles ago, my fleet encountered a small human colony on the rim world of Kepler 442b. Intelligence suggested a population of barely 50,000, miners, farmers, families. We expected swift compliance with our annexation protocols. SciFi's crystalline form flickered, a sign of deep distress among his species. The Terran delegate, Admiral Sarah Chen, sat motionless in her section, her weathered face betraying nothing. She knew this story. She had lived it. "The humans refused our generous offer of servitude," SciFi continued, earning chuckles from several delegates. "Standard procedure demanded we make an example. 1 orbital bombardment, targeted at their primary settlement. A show of force to encourage. Cooperation." The ambassador paused, his breathing apparatus wheezing. "We killed 3,000 of them in that first strike. Men, women, children. It mattered not. It was meant to break their spirit." The chamber grew colder. Even species accustomed to warfare felt the weight of his words. "Instead, we awakened something." SciFi's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "The survivors didn't surrender. They didn't flee. They didn't even mourn. They went berserk." He activated a holographic display showing orbital footage. The assembled delegates watched in horrified fascination as tiny figures moved across the scarred landscape below, not running from the smoking crater, but toward it. Within 6 hours, they had constructed weapons from mining equipment. Within 12, they had reverse-engineered our shield frequencies from debris. Within 18 hours, they had built rockets, crude, primitive things that shouldn't have worked. His voice cracked. But they did work. They worked because humans don't follow our rules of possibility. The hologram shifted to show a Vorthok dreadnought, seemingly impregnable, suddenly erupting in flames as makeshift missiles punched through its shields. My tactical advisors assured me it was impossible. Our shields could withstand the firepower of entire battle fleets. But these weren't proper weapons. They were driven by something our computers couldn't calculate: pure, undiluted rage. Admiral Chen finally spoke, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. "You killed our children." The simple statement sent a chill through the chamber. Every species present understood the concept of offspring protection, but something in the human's tone suggested depths they hadn't fathomed. "They boarded our ships," SciFi continued, his composure completely shattered now. "Not with military precision, but with the fury of wounded animals. They used tools as weapons, turned our own corridors into death traps, fought with their bare hands when ammunition ran out. I watched a human female, barely reaching my waist, tear through 5 of my warriors with a plasma cutter and righteous fury." The hologram showed corridor after corridor of Vorthok ships, now tomb silent. Bodies of the galaxy's most feared warriors lay scattered, overwhelmed not by superior technology or tactics, but by an enemy that had transcended rational behavior. We retreated after losing half our fleet to 50,000 miners and farmers, SciFi admitted, the words seeming to physically pain him. But before we left, I intercepted their communications. Do you know what they were saying as they watched our ships flee?" He looked directly at Admiral Chen, who met his gaze steadily. They were apologizing to their dead for not making us suffer more. The chamber erupted in chaos as delegates shouted, argued, and demanded explanations. But Admiral Chen simply stood, her presence somehow commanding attention despite her small stature among giants. "Ambassador Zek Hai speaks truth," she said quietly, yet somehow every being heard her. "When you threaten our families, our children, our innocent, we don't just fight. We become something else entirely, something that makes gods themselves take notice." She turned to address the full assembly, her eyes hard as steel. "We are capable of great love, great mercy, great forgiveness. But harm those we protect, and you'll discover that even the universe itself cannot save you from what we become." The warning hung in the air like a blade. And for the first time in galactic history, the Terran delegate needed no guards, no weapons, no fleet to command respect. They had something far more powerful, a reputation written in the ashes of those who had learned too late that some sleeping giants should never awaken.